the 1970s and 80s, when football was tougher, grittier, and often defined by physical battles in midfield, Graeme Souness stood above the rest. A player whose fierce determination and technical brilliance made him one of the most iconic midfielders of his generation. He wasn't just the heartbeat of Liverpool's dominance, he was its enforcer and creator all at once. This is the story of Graeme Souness, Liverpool's warrior, Scotland's pride, and one of football's most formidable leaders. Graeme James Souness was born on May 6, 1953, in Edinburgh, Scotland. Growing up in the 1950s and 60s, the country was undergoing immense social and economic change. Edinburgh, like many industrial cities, faced post-war challenges, and football became the escape for many, including young Souness. As a boy, Souness idolised Scottish footballers like Dave Mackay and Jim Baxter, players who combined physical toughness with elegance on the ball. This balance of grit and skill would become a hallmark of Souness's own game. By his teenage years, he had developed a reputation as a promising young footballer, and it wasn't long before he made the leap to professional football. Souness started his career with local club Tynecastle Boys Club, but his potential caught the eye of Tottenham Hotspur. In 1968, at just 15 years old, Souness made the bold move south to join Spurs' youth academy. But in London, the competitive nature of the game became clear, and it took time for Souness to establish himself in English football. While Souness was at Tottenham, his opportunities in the first team were limited. The late 1960s and early 1970s were a golden period for English football, with teams like Leeds United and Manchester United dominating the headlines. Spurs too had a strong squad, which made it difficult for young players to break through. Frustrated with his lack of playing time, Souness made the decision to leave London. In 1972, he signed for Middlesbrough, a move that would change the trajectory of his career. At Middlesbrough, Souness finally got regular game time and quickly became one of the club's standout performers. His aggressive tackling, powerful presence in midfield, and ability to control the tempo of a game caught the attention of top clubs. Off the pitch, the early 1970s in Britain were marked by social unrest. The economy was struggling with high inflation and frequent strikes, but football provided a welcome distraction. Fans flocked to stadiums in large numbers, and the game was still very much a working-class pursuit. In 1978, Liverpool came calling. The Reds, managed by the legendary Bob Paisley, were on their way to becoming one of Europe's most dominant teams. Souness was signed for £350,000, and it didn't take long for him to become the midfield general that Liverpool needed. Liverpool in the late 70s was a club used to success, and Souness quickly adapted to the winning mentality. His blend of technical ability and aggression made him the perfect fit for Paisley's system. He wasn't just a tough tackler, he was also a superb passer of the ball, capable of launching attacks from deep. During his time at Anfield, Souness helped Liverpool win 5 First Division titles, 3 European Cups and 4 League Cups. His performances in Europe were particularly memorable. Souness captained Liverpool during their European Cup wins in 1981, 1984, and was integral to their victories. His leadership on the field was undeniable. He was the player who led by example, never backing down from a challenge. The 1970s and 80s were a time of cultural change in England. The music scene, led by bands like The Clash and the Sex Pistols, gave rise to punk rock, symbolising a rebellious energy that also found its way onto football terraces. Football, particularly in cities like Liverpool, became deeply intertwined with local identity. The famous Anfield atmosphere, with the Kop roaring behind their team, became a symbol of the club's working-class roots. Souness thrived in this environment. He was a player who embodied the tough, gritty spirit of Liverpool. But beyond his physical prowess, he was also a player who understood the evolving nature of football. His ability to mix finesse with force helped redefine the role of the central midfielder, and he became a model for what a complete player should be. In the broader football landscape, Souness's approach represented the rise of the modern all-action midfielder. As English football entered the 1980s, the game was becoming faster and more physical, and Souness was at the forefront of this evolution. One of the defining moments of Souness's career came in the 1984 European Cup final. Liverpool faced AS Roma in Rome's Olympic Stadium. It was a hostile environment, with the majority of the 70,000 fans cheering for the Italian side. The match ended in a 1-1 draw after extra time, leading to a penalty shootout. As captain, Souness led by example, converting his penalty with ice-cold composure. Liverpool went on to win 4-2 on penalties, securing their fourth European Cup. Souness's leadership during the final was emblematic of his entire career, unflinching in the face of pressure and always delivering when it mattered most. After leaving Liverpool in 1984, Souness made the move to Italy, joining Sampdoria. While his time in Serie A was relatively short, it gave him the opportunity to experience a different footballing culture, one more focused on tactics and defence. Souness would later use these lessons in his management career. In 1986, Souness returned to the UK, this time as player-manager for Rangers in Scotland. His arrival in Glasgow marked a new chapter in Scottish football. Souness's time at Rangers was transformative. He broke down barriers by signing English players, including Terry Butcher and Chris Woods, in a league that had previously been more insular. Under Souness, Rangers won 3 league titles and 4 Scottish League Cups, helping to restore the club's dominance in Scottish football. His combative nature, both as a player and a manager, fit perfectly into the intensity of the old firm rivalry, and he became a central figure in the rejuvenation of Rangers as a major force. After his success at Rangers, Souness returned to England in 1991 to manage Liverpool. His return to Anfield, however, didn't go as planned. The early 90s marked a difficult period for Liverpool as they struggled to maintain their dominance in the newly formed Premier League. Souness's time as manager was marked by injuries, inconsistent performances, and difficulty adapting to a changing football landscape. Despite the challenges, Souness's love for the game never wavered. After leaving Liverpool, he went on to manage several clubs, including Southampton, Benfica, and Newcastle United. His managerial career, while not as decorated as his playing days, was still one of learning and adapting to the modern game. Outside of management, Souness became a respected football pundit, known for his no-nonsense approach to analysis. His deep knowledge of the game and candid opinions earned him a prominent place on TV panels, where his insights continued to shape the way fans viewed football. Graeme Souness's legacy is that of a true footballing warrior, a player who could outmuscle the toughest opponents while outsmarting the most skilled ones. He was the heartbeat of one of the greatest Liverpool teams ever assembled, a captain who led by example and a leader who always fought for his team. Souness wasn't just about winning, he redefined what it meant to be a midfielder in an era when football was evolving. His blend of technical skill, aggression and leadership set him apart and left a lasting mark on the game. In the annals of football history, Graeme Souness will always be remembered as a player who gave everything on the pitch, a fierce competitor who embodied the spirit of the clubs he played for and the nations he represented. Graeme Souness, Liverpool's midfield general, Rangers revolutionary, and a man whose career defined an era. Thank you for watching the story of one of football's toughest and most talented players. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and let us know your favourite Graeme Souness moment in the comments below. Stay tuned for more stories of football's greatest legends.